Career, I consider myself a career hospitality professional. I started in the industry way back in the 80s at this point, and at the time when Australia had been discovered by the Japanese tourists, and a lot of investment was going into hotel and resort development in Australia, and my home state of Queensland needed to have a workforce that could support that industry, along with Expo 88, which happened also in the late 80s in Brisbane. So I ended up going to a purpose-built hospitality school in Brisbane, and really enjoyed it. My father at the time was the head of marketing for a company called Dreamworld, which is the biggest theme park in Australia at the time. And I was coming up towards the end of school, and he said to me, "Well, what are you thinking about for the future?" And he said, "Had you thought about the hospitality industry?" And off I went, and I ended up at hotel school, did very well, really enjoyed it, really enjoyed the idea of industry. And certainly everything I learnt there was the formulation of what happened after that. So naturally, lots of hotels and resorts were being opened in Queensland at the time, and at a very early age, I got to open a property straight out of hotel school with Hyatt. Then with ITT Sheraton at the time on the Sunshine Coast in Australia. And then I went back to Brisbane at a time where two pivotal things in my career happened. One was a company called Beaufort Hotels, which was Siggy Bile was the head of it, storied hotelier. And we opened a hotel in Brisbane called the Heritage, which was considered to be 6-star at the time. And it was there where I first became exposed to Fidelio. This is in the late 80s, and we had this will sound funny now for hoteliers, but at that time we had a PMS, Fidelio, with 6 interfaces. And the whole hotel was butler serviced, and the guests would arrive on the floor, and there was pager interfaces, and they would meet the guest out of the lift, and all sorts of things that today seem so de rigueur, but then it was really leading edge. And of course Fidelio at that stage was still very young, and I was with the property for quite some time. It was one of the best hotels in Australia at the time, and anyway, after that, through my Fidelio background, I ended up working around a lot of the properties and hotels and resorts that took on Fidelio. So I ended up in the country at a country resort in Queensland that was very high-end property, very golf and equestrian driven at the time. And then after that, I ended up joining Qantas, or Australian Resorts as it was at that time, before Qantas took them over to work on the Great Barrier Reef at Great Keppel Island, which I ran the airport in that role, as well as running the room side of the business there. And anyway, I got a phone call from Mike Ferrier, for those who know Mike, saying, don't you think it's time you came and joined us at Fidelio? And I did.